I was 30 seconds away from signing over my $85 million logistics empire to my daughter when my son-in-law Dylan handed me a steaming cup of coffee with that smile that never quite reached his eyes. "Drink up, Ted," he said smoothly. "Big day ahead. You need to stay sharp for all that paperwork." Just as I lifted the mug to my lips, Rosa, my assistant of 20 years, stumbled into me and whispered 4 words that saved my life. "Don't drink. Trust me." My name is Theodore Blackstone. I'm 67 years old, and I built Blackstone Logistics from a single beat-up truck I bought with my military discharge pay back in 1979. What happened next in that boardroom taught me that sometimes the people who want to destroy you aren't your competitors. They're sitting at your own dinner table. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning, because the warning signs were there if I'd been smart enough to see them. Growing up poor in Detroit teaches you to read people fast. The Marines teach you to read situations even faster. 2 tours in Vietnam showed me what desperation looks like, smells like, feels like when it's crawling up your spine. I thought I'd left all that behind when I came home in '78, bought that truck, and started hauling freight across the Midwest. 44 years later, I'd built something I was proud of. Blackstone Logistics wasn't Amazon or FedEx, but we moved goods reliably from Chicago to Denver, employed 180 good people, and never missed a payroll. The kind of honest business my old man would have respected if he'd lived to see it. My biggest pride was my daughter Kate, 38 years old, smart as a whip, tougher than most men I knew. After her messy divorce 3 years back, she'd thrown herself into the family business like she was trying to prove something. Started on the loading dock during summer breaks in high school, worked dispatch through college, knew every route and every driver by name. She earned her spot as operations director, and everyone knew she'd earned it. When Kate married Dylan Pierce 18 months ago, I thought she'd finally found someone who could keep up with her. Former investment banker, smooth talker, always dressed like he was heading to a board meeting. He talked a good game about synergistic growth opportunities and maximizing operational efficiency. Corporate speak that made my head hurt, but Kate seemed impressed. Dylan had been pushing for months about succession planning. "Ted, you've earned your retirement," he'd say over Sunday dinner. "Kate's ready to take the reins. You should be playing golf and enjoying your golden years." Coming from anyone else, I might have been suspicious. But Kate would smile when he said it, squeeze my arm, tell me she was ready for the challenge. The meeting was set for Tuesday morning. Nothing fancy, just the board, our lawyer, and the paperwork to officially transfer majority ownership to Kate. I'd keep a small stake in the chairman emeritus title, but the real power would pass to the next generation, the way it should be. That morning started wrong from the minute I woke up. Rosa had called in sick the night before. First time in 5 years, she'd missed work for illness. Rosa Martinez had been with me since 2004, came up from Mexico as a teenager, worked her way through night school while answering phones. She knew my schedule better than I did, anticipated problems before they happened, and never, ever called in sick unless something was seriously wrong. But Dylan was all energy and enthusiasm that Tuesday. "Big day, Ted," he said, practically bouncing around my kitchen. "Kate's going to do amazing things with the company, fresh perspective, modern approaches. You built something incredible, and now she's going to take it to the next level." I was distracted, going over the paperwork one last time, wondering if I was making the right decision. 44 years of my life in those documents, every late-night drive through blizzards, every close call with bankruptcy, every small victory that built into something bigger. Was I ready to let go? That's when Dylan offered to make my coffee. In the 18 months I'd known my son-in-law, he'd never made me so much as a cup of tea. Kate always joked that Dylan was helpless in the kitchen, couldn't even work the coffee maker without burning something. But there he was, fussing around with my espresso machine like he knew what he was doing. "Rosa's not here to take care of you today," he said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Let me make sure you get your caffeine fix before the big meeting. Can't have you falling asleep during your own retirement ceremony." He handed me my favorite travel mug, the old Blackstone Logistics one with the faded logo I'd carried for 15 years. Double shot of espresso, just how you like it. For luck. I should have trusted my instincts right then. In Vietnam, the guys who didn't trust their gut instincts came home in boxes, but I was thinking about signatures and legal documents, about whether Kate really was ready for this responsibility, about whether I was too young to step back or too old to keep going. I got to the office around 9 a.m. The building felt different that morning. Too quiet, too formal. Even the security guard seemed nervous when he buzzed me up to the executive floor. Our offices occupied the top 2 floors of a modest downtown building, nothing flashy but professional. The view from my corner office showed trucks rolling in and out of our main depot, the mechanical ballet of commerce that had been my life's work. Rosa's desk sat empty in the outer office. 20 years of working together, and I couldn't remember the space ever looking so abandoned. Her coffee maker was cold, her computer dark, her chair pushed in like she'd never planned to come back. I tried calling her cell phone, straight to voicemail. I tried her home number. No answer. The worried feeling that had been gnawing at me all morning turned into something sharper, more urgent. 10 minutes later, Dylan knocked on my office door. "Ready for the big moment?" he asked, stepping in without waiting for permission. Kate's already in the conference room. She's nervous but excited. That's when he pulled out my travel mug and set it on my desk. "You forgot your coffee," he said. "Still hot. Better drink it while you can. Big day ahead." I stared at that mug like it was a snake. Something about Dylan's behavior was setting off every alarm bell I had. The way he wouldn't meet my eyes, the way he kept checking his watch, the way he'd insisted on making coffee when he'd never shown the slightest interest in domestic tasks before. "Strange that Rosa called in sick today," I said, watching his reaction carefully. "First time in 5 years. Dylan's face flickered, just for a second, with something that might have been guilt. "Yeah, Kate mentioned that. Food poisoning, right? Terrible timing." I hadn't told Kate it was food poisoning. Rosa had just said she was sick, but Dylan knew specific details that I hadn't shared with anyone. "How did you know it was food poisoning?" I asked. "Oh, Kate must have mentioned it," he said quickly. Too quickly. "You know how these stomach bugs go around. In Vietnam, we had a saying, when something smells like fish, it's usually rotten." Dylan's explanation stunk like week-old salmon. The conference room was set up like a courtroom. Big mahogany table, leather chairs, the kind of formal atmosphere that made simple business feel like life and death. Kate sat across from where I'd be sitting, looking sharp in her navy suit, but fidgeting with her pen like she used to do during high school algebra tests. She was nervous, which wasn't like her. Our lawyer, Jim Patterson, shuffled through papers with the enthusiasm of a man calculating his retirement. Jim had been handling our legal work since the Clinton administration, steady as bedrock and twice as reliable. The board members, old Charlie from the Teamsters, Susan, who'd been with us since the 80s, and young Mike from accounting, looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Dylan positioned himself behind Kate's chair, one hand resting on her shoulder like he was claiming territory. Every time I glanced at him, he was watching me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. "Well," Jim said, adjusting his glasses, "I think we're ready to proceed. Theodore, if you could sign on the highlighted pages, we can make this official." I picked up the pen, then set it down again. I'm feeling a bit lightheaded. Maybe I should finish my coffee first." Dylan's eyes lit up like a slot machine hitting jackpot. "Great idea, Ted. You do look pale. Coffee will perk you right up." That's when the conference room door burst open. Rosa stumbled in, looking like she'd run a marathon. Her usually perfect hair was disheveled, her blouse wrinkled, and she was clutching a manila folder like her life depended on it. But most importantly, she was here, alive, and terrified. "Mr. Blackstone," she gasped, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I'm so sorry I'm late. I had a family emergency." She moved toward me, but as she passed behind my chair, she bumped into me. Not hard, just enough to make me jerk back from the coffee mug. As she steadied herself, she leaned in close and whispered those 4 words that saved my life. "Don't drink. Trust me." The room went silent. Rosa pulled back immediately, her face a mask of professional apology, but her eyes locked onto mine for just a second. What I saw there made my blood freeze. Pure, genuine terror. Dylan recovered first. "Rosa, you startled everyone. Is everything all right?" "Yes, sir," she said, but her voice was shaking. "Just clumsy. Long night with my mother." Rosa's mother had been dead for 3 years. I set the coffee mug down carefully, fighting every instinct that was screaming at me to demand answers right then and there. Instead, I fumbled with the pen, playing the confused old man. "Sorry, everyone, my hands aren't what they used to be." "Take your time, Ted," Dylan said, but there was an edge to his voice now. Maybe another sip of coffee will help steady those nerves. The way he said it, not concerned, not helpful. Hungry, like a hawk watching a mouse. I looked around the room with new eyes. Kate was staring at the documents, but I could see tension in her shoulders. Jim was checking his watch, impatient to get this over with. Charlie and Susan looked uncomfortable, like they sensed something was wrong but couldn't put their fingers on it. And Rosa was still standing by the door, her knuckles white where she gripped that manila folder. 3 tours in Vietnam teaches you to read situations fast. Right then, I knew 4 things for certain. That coffee was dangerous. Dylan was behind whatever was happening. Rosa had risked everything to warn me, and I was in serious trouble. "You know what?" I said, standing up slowly and playing up the frail old man routine. "I think I need to use the restroom before we continue. Old bladder, you understand." Dylan's mask slipped for just a second. I caught a flash of something dark, frustration, maybe anger, before he forced his helpful smile back into place. "Of course, Ted. We'll wait right here." "Actually," I said, looking directly at Rosa, "could you help me find some aspirin? I'm getting a headache." Rosa nodded immediately. "Of course, Mr. Blackstone." As we left the conference room, I heard Dylan's voice behind us. "Kate, maybe you should start reviewing the documents. We want to be efficient when your father gets back." Rosa and I walked down the hallway in silence until we reached my office. The moment the door closed behind us, she collapsed into the chair across from my desk, her professional composure cracking like a dam. "Mr. Blackstone," she whispered, "he tried to kill you. Dylan. This morning before I got sick." "What do you mean, before you got sick?" Rosa opened the manila folder with trembling hands. "I wasn't sick. I was following him." She pulled out a series of photographs, grainy, taken from a distance but clear enough to tell the story. Dylan entering a 24-hour pharmacy at 6 a.m. Dylan at the prescription counter, talking to a young pharmacist who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Dylan leaving with a small white bag. "I couldn't sleep last night," Rosa continued. "Something about yesterday bothered me. Dylan kept asking questions about your health, about what medications you take, about what would happen if someone with a healthy heart took heart medication. The pieces were starting to fall into place, but I needed to hear it all. I followed him this morning. He bought heart pills, Digitalis, cash purchase, no prescription. Then he went to your house." She pulled out more photos. Dylan in my kitchen, grinding pills with the back of a spoon. Dylan mixing powder into my coffee. Dylan practicing his concerned son-in-law expression in the reflection of my microwave. "I tried to call you, but he must have turned off your house phone. I tried your cell, but it went straight to voicemail. So I came here, but I was too late. You were already in the meeting." My hands were shaking as I looked at the evidence. My own son-in-law, the man who slept in my daughter's bed, had spent his morning plotting my murder. "Why?" I asked, though I suspected I already knew the answer. Rosa pulled out a final document, a credit report, covered in red ink and past due notices. Dylan Pierce owes $4.2 million to various creditors. Cryptocurrency trading, online gambling, high-risk investments that went bad. He's got 72 hours before some very dangerous people come looking for payment. I studied the numbers, feeling sick. Kate doesn't know. No. He's been using her personal accounts to make minimum payments, telling her it's for house expenses and investments. But it's not enough anymore. He needs real money, and he needs it now. So he decided to cash in his inheritance early. Rosa nodded. With you dead from an apparent heart attack, Kate would inherit everything. And as her husband, he'd have access to it all. We sat in silence for a moment, letting the magnitude of the betrayal sink in. My daughter's husband had tried to murder me for money. The man Kate trusted, loved, shared her dreams with. He saw her as nothing more than a pathway to my bank account. "We need to call the police," Rosa said, reaching for her phone. I held up a hand to stop her. "Not yet. We need more than photos and a credit report. We need to know how deep this goes, and we need to protect Kate. Mr. Blackstone, he tried to poison you. What more do we need?" I thought about my daughter sitting in that conference room, probably wondering why her father was taking so long in the bathroom. Did she know? Was she part of this? The thought made my chest tight in a way that had nothing to do with heart medication. "Rosa, I need you to do something for me, and I need you to trust me completely." She nodded without hesitation. 20 years of working together had built that kind of trust. I need you to call Jack Morrison. You remember Jack, my old friend from the PI firm. Tell him to get over here with recording equipment. Then I need you to go back to that conference room and act like nothing happened. Can you do that? What are you going to do? I'm going to give Dylan exactly what he wants, and I'm going to record every word. Rosa's eyes widened. You're going back in there? I'm going back in there, and I'm going to drink that coffee. Mr. Blackstone, no. The digitalis will kill you. I smiled for the first time that morning. Not if I don't actually drink it. But Dylan doesn't know that. 20 minutes later, Jack Morrison was in my office with a wireless recording device smaller than a shirt button. Jack had been running investigations since the Carter administration, knew every dirty trick in the book. We'd served together briefly in the tail, end of Vietnam, stayed friends through the decades. You're playing with fire, Ted, he said, testing the audio levels. If this goes wrong, it's not going wrong. Dylan thinks he's dealing with a confused old man who's lost his edge. He has no idea what he's actually dealing with. Jack clipped the device inside my jacket lapel. I'll be monitoring from the parking lot. First sign of real trouble, I'm calling cavalry. I straightened my tie, checked my watch, and walked back toward the conference room. Time to find out just how far my son-in-law was willing to go. The atmosphere in the room had changed while I was gone. Kate looked more nervous, constantly glancing between the door and Dylan. Jim was openly checking his phone, probably billing hours while he waited. The board members were making small talk, but there was tension underneath. They could sense something was off. Dylan was pacing behind Kate's chair like a caged animal. There you are, Ted, he said, forcing enthusiasm into his voice. Feeling better? Much better, I said, settling back into my chair. Sorry to keep everyone waiting. Where were we? The signature pages, Jim said, sliding the documents back in front of me. Once you sign, we can make this transition official. I picked up the pen, then paused. You know, I'm still feeling a bit shaky. Maybe I should finish that coffee first, get my blood sugar up. Dylan's face lit up like Christmas morning. Absolutely. You need to stay sharp for this. I reached for the mug, watching Dylan's eyes track my every movement. Kate was focused on the papers, but there was something in her posture, a stiffness that suggested she was more aware of what was happening than she was letting on. As I lifted the mug toward my lips, I watched Dylan lean forward slightly, his breathing shallow with anticipation. This was it, the moment he'd been planning, the moment that would solve all his problems and set him up for life. Just as the rim touched my lips, I fumbled the mug. Coffee splashed across the conference table, soaking the documents and sending everyone jumping back. Damn it, I muttered, grabbing napkins. I'm sorry, my hands are so unsteady today. Dylan's mask slipped completely. For a fraction of a second, I saw pure rage flash across his face, the look of a desperate man watching his salvation disappear. Then he forced the concerned son-in-law expression back into place. No problem, Ted. Accidents happen. Rosa, could you clean this up? And maybe get Ted a fresh cup? Rosa had been standing quietly by the door, but now she stepped forward with a bottle of water. Actually, maybe water would be better. Coffee might make the shaking worse. The standoff was subtle, but unmistakable. Dylan needed me drinking whatever had been in that mug. Rosa was blocking his play, and somewhere in the middle, Kate was starting to realize something was seriously wrong. What's going on? Kate asked, looking between Rosa and Dylan. Why does everyone seem so tense? That's when Dylan made his first real mistake. Instead of backing down, instead of playing it off, he doubled down. Your assistant seems to think she knows what's best for your father, he said, his voice carrying an edge of irritation. Rosa, could you please just get Ted some fresh coffee? We have a schedule to keep. Rosa didn't move. I think water is fine. I said coffee. Dylan's voice was sharper now, his carefully maintained facade cracking under pressure. Kate looked up from the documents, really looked for the first time that morning. Dylan, what's wrong with you? Rosa's been taking care of Dad for 20 years. If she thinks water is better... Jesus Christ, Kate, can't anyone in this family make a simple decision? Dylan snapped. Your father needs to sign those papers, and he needs caffeine to focus. It's not complicated. The room went dead quiet. Kate stared at her husband like she'd never seen him before. Jim looked uncomfortable. Charlie and Susan exchanged glances, and I realized this was the moment I'd been waiting for. Dylan, I said quietly, why is it so important that I drink coffee right now? He froze, just for a second, but long enough for everyone in the room to notice. "It's not important," he said, but his voice was different now. Defensive. I just thought, never mind. "No, I'm curious," I pressed, leaning back in my chair. "You've been very insistent about the coffee. You made it this morning, brought it to my office, and now you're upset that I spilled it. That seems like unusual behavior for someone who usually can't work a microwave." Kate's head snapped up. "What do you mean, he made your coffee?" "This morning, before the meeting. Said Rosa wasn't there to take care of me." I kept my voice calm, conversational. "Funny thing is, I've never seen Dylan make coffee before." "Have you, Kate?" "No," she said slowly. "Dylan doesn't even drink coffee. He says it makes him jittery." Dylan was sweating now, small beads forming on his forehead despite the air conditioning. I was just being helpful. "Is that a crime?" "Of course not," I said. "But I'm curious about something else. How did you know Rosa had food poisoning?" "What?" "This morning you mentioned Rosa had food poisoning, but when she called in sick last night, she just said she was ill. She didn't specify what kind of illness." Dylan opened his mouth, then closed it. For the first time since I'd known him, he had no smooth answer, no ready explanation. "Dad?" Kate said, her voice small and confused. "What are you getting at?" I stood up slowly, feeling every one of my 67 years, but also feeling the tactical awareness that had kept me alive in Vietnam. "Kate, I need to ask you something, and I need you to think very carefully. Have you noticed any unusual activity in your bank accounts lately?" The color drained from Kate's face. "How did you—" "I thought those were investments. Dylan said the crypto market was volatile, that we might see some temporary losses." $4.2 million, I said. Watching Dylan's face, "That's what your husband owes to various creditors. Cryptocurrency trading, online gambling, high-risk investments that went very, very wrong." Kate turned to look at Dylan, her face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and dawning horror. "Dylan? Is that true?" Dylan didn't answer. Couldn't answer. His face had gone gray and his hands were shaking. "The deadline is Thursday," I continued relentlessly. 72 hours from now. And if he doesn't pay, some very unpleasant people are going to come looking for their money." "Dylan?" Kate's voice was barely a whisper. That's when my son-in-law finally showed his true colors. Dylan's face contorted into something ugly and desperate. The charming investment banker facade cracked completely, revealing the cornered animal underneath. "You don't understand," he snarled, pointing a shaking finger at me. "You have no idea what kind of people I owe money to. They don't send collection letters, Ted. They send body parts." Kate recoiled like she'd been slapped. "Dylan, what are you saying?" "I'm saying your precious father is going to get me killed." Dylan's voice was rising, all pretense of control gone. $4.2 million, Kate. That's what I need by Thursday, or I'm a dead man. And you know what? Maybe that's what should happen. Maybe I should just disappear and let you deal with the consequences." "Consequences?" Kate stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. "What consequences? What did you do?" Dylan laughed, a bitter sound with no humor in it. "What did I do? I tried to save us, Kate. I tried to secure our future. Your father's sitting on $85 million, playing with his little toy trucks, while real money slips away in inflation and taxes. So you decided to kill him for it?" The words came out of Kate's mouth like a physical blow. "Kill him?" Dylan's voice hit a hysterical note. "I gave him heart medication, Kate. Digitalis. It would have been peaceful. A heart attack in his sleep, natural. Causes. No investigation, no questions. Just a sad old man who worked too hard and stressed too much." The conference room erupted. Jim Patterson dropped his papers, staring at Dylan in horror. Charlie swore under his breath. Susan covered her mouth with both hands. And Kate made a sound I'd never heard before, somewhere between a sob and a scream. "You monster," she whispered. "You absolute monster." Dylan turned to her, and for a moment I saw desperation replace the anger in his eyes. "Kate, baby, you don't understand. It was for us, for our future. With the inheritance, we could have paid off the debts, started fresh. We could have had everything." "Everything?" Kate's voice was deadly quiet. "By murdering my father? It would have looked natural. No one would have known." That's when I stepped forward. Except everyone knows now, Dylan. Every word you just said was recorded. Dylan's face went white. What? I tapped the small device clipped inside my lapel. Wireless transmitter. My friend. Jack's been listening from the parking lot, along with Detective Rodriguez, who I called about 20 minutes ago. As if summoned by my words, the conference room doors burst open. Jack Morrison entered first, followed by Detective Rodriguez and 2 uniformed officers. Behind them came Agent Sarah Brooks from the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Apparently, wire fraud involving multiple states makes it federal business. Dylan Pierce, Detective Rodriguez said, pulling out his handcuffs. You're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit fraud, and identity theft. Dylan made a break for the windows, like he was going to jump through the glass from the 14th floor. The officers grabbed him before he got 3 steps. As they wrestled him to the ground, he kept screaming about deadlines and debts and people who would kill him in prison. Maybe you should have thought about that before you tried to poison your father-in-law, Agent Brooks said dryly. Kate stood frozen in the middle of the chaos, watching her husband being handcuffed like she was seeing a stranger for the first time, which, in a way, she was. Kate, I said softly, moving to her side. Are you all right? She turned to look at me, and I saw my little girl again. The same expression she'd had at 8 years old when she'd fallen off her bike and scraped her knees bloody. Hurt, confused, needing her father to make sense of a world that had suddenly turned cruel. Dad, she whispered. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I know you didn't, sweetheart. He stole from me, from our accounts. He made me think. He said we were investing together, building our future together, but he was stealing from me to pay gambling debts. I wrapped my arms around my daughter as she finally broke down, 18 months of manipulation and lies crashing down on her all at once. Over her shoulder, I watched them drag Dylan out of the conference room, still ranting about crypto markets and sure-thing investments. The investigation took 3 weeks. Dylan's financial records revealed the full scope of his deception. Not just the gambling debts, but forged loan applications, stolen identity documents, and a pattern of targeting wealthy families through their daughters. Kate wasn't his first mark, just his most successful one. The coffee tested positive for enough digitalists to kill a racehorse. If I'd drunk even half that cup, I would have been dead within the hour. The coroner estimated it would have looked exactly like what Dylan claimed, a heart attack brought on by age and stress. Dylan got 15 years for attempted murder and fraud. The crypto creditors? Turned out they were mostly legitimate exchanges, not the dangerous criminals Dylan had made them out to be. He'd been using the threat of violence to manipulate Kate's sympathy, making her more willing to support his increasingly desperate financial schemes. Kate filed for divorce and an annulment. The marriage had been based on fraud from day one. She also took over as CEO of Blackstone Logistics 6 months ahead of schedule, throwing herself into the work like she was trying to wash away the memory of Dylan's betrayal. And she's been brilliant at it. Tougher, more careful about who she trusts, but still the same daughter I raised. The same woman who worked her way up from the loading dock because she wanted to earn respect, not just inherit it. Rosa got a promotion to chief operating officer and a significant raise. She also got something else, a handwritten letter of recommendation from me that she can use anywhere, anytime for the rest of her career. Because loyalty like hers doesn't come around often, and when it does, you recognize it. The coffee mug sits on my desk now, clean and empty. A reminder that family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about the people who risk everything to save your life. Sometimes it's about the assistant who's been making your coffee for 20 years, not the son-in-law who tried to kill you with it. Trust your instincts, watch for the warning signs, and remember that when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Because in the end, the people who truly care about you are the ones who show up when it matters most, not the ones who practice concerned expressions in your microwave reflection while grinding poison into your morning coffee. And sometimes, just sometimes, the best family is the one you choose, not the one that chooses you. The most dangerous predators don't break down your door. They marry into your family and ask for the keys. When someone needs you dead to solve their problems, remember, their crisis doesn't become your funeral.